Continuing our reading in Ereth's Birthday by Avi, today is chapter 20, Bounder. Toward the other end of Dimwood Forest was a small, shallow glen, all but circular in shape. The hollow was surrounded by tall ponderosa pines, their heavy limbs bent with snow. Near the center of the place, like the hub of a wheel, was a rock. Atop the rock, bathing in the warm sun, beneath the blue sky, was a large, handsome fox. It was Bounder, the father of the three kits. Head high, majestic tail curled about his body, Bounder was in perfect repose. His coat of ruby red fur was as thick as summer grass. His paws were powerful, his noble face long and pointed, bore deep-set eyes and sharp whiskers. Indeed, he was quite prepared to believe that the rock upon which he rested, and even the sun in the sky, were there for him, so as to show him at best advantage. All that was missing was a pool of water in which he might admire his own image. A few days ago, Bounder had heard a rumor that the humans at New Farm, at the eastern end of Dimwood Forest, had built a brand new chicken coop. The coop was full of plump chickens, or so the fox had been informed. With visions of many tasty meals in his future, the fox was determined to visit the coop. Just thinking about it made him lick his lips in anticipation. For Bounder did what he wanted, how he wanted, and when he wanted. It was only the snowstorm that had interrupted his journey. Though the storm was now over, and he was still planning to go, the soothing sun upon his back detained him. The warmth provided such sweet contentment, he had shut his eyes and given himself over to random thoughts. Even as the fox's eyes were shut, his ears were working, listening to the sounds of the forest, on guard for the slightest hint of any disturbance to which he should attend. As time went by, he caught the sound of a mouse burrowing under the snow. Bounder decided the mouse was not big enough for him to bother with. Not long after that, he was certain a baby rabbit, was hopping by the rock. Though the fox knew the rabbit was easy prey, once again, he decided that the animal's small size did not justify making any effort to catch it. It was his awareness of the young rabbit, however, that caused him to think, momentarily, about his wife Leaper and his three kits, Nimble, Tumble, and Flip. Regarding Leaper, Bounder had no great depth of feeling. When he thought of her, it was to acknowledge that she was a good mother to these three kits of his. That, as far as he was concerned, was the only thing important about her, for Leaper's good mothering meant that he, Bounder, did not have to concern himself very much about his youngsters. That in turn allowed him to go about his business freely, without the least hindrance, and so he did. As for the kits, he did care for them, but on his own terms. He enjoyed visiting them from time to time. He liked to bring them special treats, like a freshly killed chicken, something their mother would not risk providing. He also enjoyed engaging the kits in a bit of rough play, just enough to let them experience his strength. But what Bounder liked most in regard to his kits was to allow his children to gaze upon him with adoring eyes. Once that was accomplished, he would go off again on his private business. All that, in Bounder's opinion, was the proper life for a father fox. So it was that as the fox continued to lie beneath the warm sun, he deliberately dismissed thoughts of home and family. Life was too good for him to be disturbed by such things. But then Bounder heard the sound of something much larger than a baby rabbit. Opening his orange eyes a bit, he sought out who it might be. There on a branch, on one of the trees overlooking the glen, was Marty the fisher. As soon as the fox realized it was Marty, he shut his eyes again. Bounder did not like Marty. As far as the fox was concerned, the fisher was an unpleasant creature, sly, secretive, not always to be trusted. "Hello, Bounder," Marty called out. Do you know what is happening?" The fox said nothing. "Well then," the fisher said, "my guess is you don't want to know what's happened to your wife, Leaper, and those 3 kits of yours who go by the names of Tumble, Nimble, and Flip." Bounder felt uneasy. By stating the fox's family's names, the Marty had aroused his curiosity. Still, the last thing the fox wanted to do was ask for the story. That would put someone else in control, a thing Bounder did not like to happen. He preferred to be in charge. When the fox neither moved or replied, Marty called, "It's a pretty tragic tale, Bounder. I don't blame you for not wanting to know." Bounder continued to act with indifference. "But then," Marty continued loudly, "since everyone else knows what happened, I suppose you do too. Well, I guess you were the first one to hear. Well, Bounder, do you have any sympathy?" Bounder, no longer able to resist, turned to the fisher. "I beg your pardon. Were you talking to me?" He was very vexed, but worked hard to avoid showing it. "Of course I was talking to you," Marty cried. "And you heard everything I said, didn't you? You foxes have a great reputation for listening. I suppose you're as good as most. Better, maybe." Bounder sniffed loudly a few times. "Listening?" he said. "Actually, my hearing hasn't been very good lately. A kind of cold or something. The snowstorm, I suspect. Even so, if you have something to say to me, I'd be happy to make an effort to hear it." Marty studied Bounder intently with his dark, emotionless eyes, trying to make up his mind if the fox was telling the truth or not. He decided he was not, and that annoyed him. "It's your wife, Leaper," he called bluntly. "She's been killed." "Killed?" Bounder cried, taken aback, but under such self-control that he remained in place. "You're lying." No, it's true. By a hunter's steel trap near the cabin at Long Lake. It happened just yesterday during the snowstorm." "What about my kits? Were they hurt?" "Oh no, they weren't with her." "Do they know about her?" "I'm not sure." Now Bounder was concerned. "Tell me everything you know." "All I know is that an old porcupine who goes by the name of Ereth is staying with your kits."
"Ereth?"
"That's him. He seems to have moved into your den."
"In my den?" Bounder cried. "With my kits?"
"I think so."
Bounder knew all about Ereth. If anything, he knew him too well. Little more than a year ago, he had been chasing a mouse through the forest when she ran into a hollow log to escape. The log proved to be Ereth's home. Though all Bounder had wanted to do was eat the mouse, porcupines, he knew, were not meat eaters. Ereth had slapped him with his tail, giving him a nose full of painful quills. So yes, Bounder knew all about Ereth. He disliked him intensely. "Those are my kits," the fox growled. "That porcupine has no business with them, none. What's he doing there?"
I think," Marty the fisher said, he's pretending to be their father."
"Their father?" Bounder exclaimed. "Are you making all of this up?"
"Not in the least. And quite a happy family they've become. That's all I know." So saying, Marty the fisher retreated among the branches of the tree. He was deep enough for Bounder to lose sight of him, but not so far away that he could not watch the fox. Bounder was thinking hard about what he had heard. Could it really be true? He asked himself. If true, it was a dreadful thing that had happened to Leaper. He truly regretted it, he did. But at least his kits were safe and being cared for. As far as Bounder was concerned, that was the most important thing. Regarding Ereth the porcupine, Bounder grinned. It served the old porcupine right for being such a busybody. What the perfect revenge on Ereth, the old porcupine taking care of his kits, acting like their father, until, of course, he dismissed him. The more Bounder thought about it, the more it pleased him that his old foe should be stuck with the job of taking care of his children. Serve the old porcupine right. Moreover, it meant that he, Bounder, could get on with his business of catching the chickens from the coop at New Farm. With that thought, Bounder trotted off through the snow, his mind entirely on those plump chickens. Good, Marty the Fisher said to himself as he watched Bounder go off. If I know Bounder, he'll get Ereth away from those kits, and when the porcupine is alone again, I'll be there waiting for him. And that's the end of chapter 20.